My name is Thijs Ebbers and I'm the lead architect for ING's container hosting.
Hi, I'm Sandeep, basically one of the managers at ING. So what do I do as a manager? So my work is usually about abstracting the mundane tasks that an enterprise can throw at our engineers so that my team can have time for awesome engineering. And that's been a privilege to be in ING. So something about ING and a bit of banking. So banking in its current form, if you look at it, it has been same since the 14th century. So in simply put, it is old, it's complex, it has impact on our economic well-being, therefore it's heavily regulated. So in fact, if you look at ING, you could trace back its earlier transaction to almost 1762. That's pretty long back time, right? But we have a bit of digital as well. So we started our first digital endeavor in 1997 as ING Bank Direct. It was basically a bank without branches, offering their very nice, attractive savings accounts and some retail products. So with that, you can say ING had innovation at its core, right? So what's our purpose? Our purpose is to empower people to stay a step ahead in life and in business. And with that purpose in mind, we have a strategy around it. And what's that? That's basically making the difference for our people and the planet by providing sustainable goals for ourselves that we do every day and also providing great customer service. That's how we do it, basically. And to look at it from how do we really do it seriously, we're also part of a strategic partner for our Center for Climate Finance, related finance, basically. What we do there is develop and help building, sustainable ways of decarbonizing the economy. And our own internal targets are typically targeted towards 2050, which is 20 years before the actual target that most of the other enterprises are doing. So I'll give to Thijs for the next one.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
So the short recap of this one, the real short summary, I'm not going to talk about this cube. Instead, I want to share something personal. I was flying into Detroit on a plane, and I had finally time to watch a movie I wanted to watch for a long time. And watching that movie, I realized something. Why am I on stage today? Is it because it's good for my employer's corporate image? Is it because we want to invest in a relationship with Red Hat? Is it because we want to contribute to this community? All of those are true. But what gives me the energy to be here on stage? And that movie made me realize, why did I jump all those corporate hoops to get here? The reason is, I need to tell a story. And the reason for that story is that I consider myself to be an IT professional, even an IT security professional. And I feel ashamed. Almost daily, we see in the media data leakage, ransomware, etc., etc. Each data leakage is a failure of us to society. And looking at that movie, I realized, why? Why is that happening? In that movie, the main character took a manual and threw it in the garbage bin, stating your opponents have read these as well and are using that knowledge against you. That's not fiction. That's happened 2 years ago. We call it SolarWinds. And even today, I see many organizations still not grasping the essential lessons we should have learned from SolarWinds. Do not try to put bolt-on security solutions. Bandages don't work. We need to fix the essentials. Remove elevated privileges from users. Remove access privileges from system accounts. And get in control of your supply chain. 3 basic principles. And we are failing. So why is that? And that movie triggered me. In the movie, it takes a Maverick to show the people that the mission is achievable. It can be accomplished. And maybe we as an IT security community, we don't believe it is achievable. So maybe there needs to be a Maverick which shows it can be done. And if nobody else does it, that Maverick should be me. A little bit louder. Okay, thank you. So yeah, all of you guessing what movie am I talking about? I guess you know, but if not, it's Top Gun Maverick. Can I see some hands who has seen the movie? That's a bit disappointing. I would have guessed more people would have seen it. Okay, so I discussed with Sandeep and we decided to change our storyline a bit. So the slides will be the slides. They contain valuable information, but they will be available for download. We're not going to literally read them out to you. So being on stage on OpenShift Commons, you might assume that ING Container Hosting is always using OpenShift. That's not the case. We are using OpenShift for our private cloud, but we are also using other cloud vendors and using their native offerings. To stay in the theme of the movie, we have an F-35 and we added an F-14 and an F-18 to our lineup. All three can take off and land on an aircraft carrier, and all three can basically take the same set of ordnance. So it doesn't matter. It's about completing the mission, not the tools. Also, I'm abusing this to do a shameless plug. My colleagues from the analytics department are presenting tomorrow on Kubecon. Go and see that talk, learn from it. But realize they're not hosted on ING Container Hosting. Not yet, and there's a reason for that, which I'll explain in the next slide. To be quite honest, I've been struggling with this slide, how to convey this message. And seeing the movie, I realized this is what basically the essence of what we are doing. This is our mission plan. And this mission plan for us was to build the best possible container hosting platform for immutable modern workloads. So basically, we built an F-35. Regretfully, there's lots of people in my corporation, in this industry, who think it's a good idea to put something externally to that F-35. And we have the people from Lockheed in the room. They can probably explain even better than I why that's a very bad idea. So we have an intended purpose, and we're sticking to that. We are very opinionated. That doesn't mean it's a bad idea to put something heavy on that F-35, because there is a mission to be accomplished. But maybe the F-18 is a far better solution to accomplish that mission. And as long as you have the F-18, that's perfectly fine. So no is a valid answer. And that's what happened with our analytics colleagues. We were not in a position to service them because we didn't productize, we didn't engineer a service for high performance compute. So they built their own. And maybe that will change over future. But today, it's not ING Container Hosting. Second plan, if you build a jet fighter, you start out with requirements. And that's what we did. We built our container security framework, or container security standard. And basically that boils down to two basic models. So the top model, what it depicts, is it takes a holistic approach. You cannot do it just from container hosting. You need to help, you need a team basically. The team consists out of the container hosting platform, your pipeline platform, and your consumers. They all need to work together, they all need to take responsibility, or else they will all fail. The second model depicts basically that you cannot execute a complex mission straight away. You need to upskill your team. You need to set intermediate goals. And once you reach those goals, you continue to the next level. And you repeat until you succeed in your mission. That's the second model. So where are we today? We set out these requirements in 2019. And today, ING is running an immutable container hosting infrastructure, running immutable workloads. We have comprehensive vulnerability scanning in our CI/CD pipeline. And we only scan in that pipeline. We do not scan in runtime. We no longer need to, because the platform is immutable, the payload is immutable, we have anomaly detection, and we have policy as code. And now I hand over to Sandeep.
Yeah, so there have been some learnings for us as well, but like you say, the environment keeps changing, and therefore we need to keep adapting. And if you look at, that has been a lesson that you can see. If you have seen the movie, then you see that that's a lesson that, that is there as well, and it's very much explicit for us in our real lives. So we no longer have a room for flying the planes at 5,000 feet and have time for manure. We really need to know how to do it at a mission stage, which is typically at 300 feet, right? So there's very less time for error. And if you're running mission critical infrastructure, then the only way to address it is to automate. So that's what we did, basically. We're looking at automation all the way. So there have been some learnings as well in this journey that we had for the last 3 years. I mean, more or less, like Thijs explained, we have been doing well, and we have seen a lot of adoption. And we did see some challenges coming, or surprises coming our way when we saw a huge, humongous capacity growth happening. And it was good that our engineers were up to it, and they could address these challenges pretty quickly. What it did as well was reduce at scale. We could reduce our TCO. Our consumers were also happy that we could actually bring down the prices. Some more. A bit of, sometimes you get surprises and you get what I mentioned as roadblocks, and this is one of those. So what we had is what we call as the dark star moment for ourselves. The platform itself was really accelerating at Mach 10, and before it could hit it, we saw a lot of red lights going up. What that meant was we had to take action. And luckily our team was up to it, and they managed to get the situation in control. So what happened really is we lost 40% of our capacity with a bug. And the bug was related to Red Hat Atomic OS, and that meant that we couldn't fix it. We had to really take some other additional efforts to increase the capacity while we were growing really fast. So we call it a pending pod issue, where what happens is basically the pods don't get deployed and they fail, and and that actually keeps repeating itself, and you get a cascading effect, right? So that was a big thing for us, and that actually also drove us towards accelerating our upgrade to OpenShift 4. So there is a learning here as well. So if you look at, there's a learning here as well. So there's one, do a stress test for your system. Make sure that you're monitoring the platform limits, because that can really help you to find these limits much earlier, and you don't run into issues. Next. Okay, some more surprises coming our way. What we found is that typically, like in the movie, we were talking that in real life also, you always have these characters who think that they know everything, and they understand everything. And then till something goes wrong, and all the bells start to ring, and that's what we also had. What we found is that our initial consuming DevOps teams were very good at adapting the best practices. They were good at collaboration with their platform team. But as we saw more growth coming our way, our focus was more turning towards how do we do more self-service, how do we provide better features and capabilities. Of course, we did keep updating our documentation, and thinking that consumers were still looking at the best practices, there were surprises in store for us. And we found that a lot of them were not using the best deployment patterns, and we suffered on the resiliency front. Some of it went to the press, but that's a different story. So it did force us to introduce some mandatory controls on the system. And some of them were canary releases, pod resiliency deployment, defining the correct liveness probes. So these were kind of made mandatory for the teams. We also introduced a lot of documentation around resiliency, how to do proper resiliency. We did a lot of trainings around it, and we also had a dashboard released so that DevOps engineers could actually get better visibility on what's happening. So also our CIOs could get a better visibility, so what's happening on their landscape. So that's how we intended to manage it.
So this is about partnerships. And like in the movie, you need an ecosystem. You can't complete a mission with a couple of jets. You need that aircraft carrier. You need that EC2 Hawkeye providing Overwatch. You need a satellite providing communications, and so on and so on. The same goes for a cloud-native journey. You cannot do it alone. You need partners. And that's what we did as ING. So starting in the right bottom corner, we take in hosted nodes, bare metal machines, sometimes virtual machines from our colleagues in ING. On those nodes, we deploy software from our partners Red Hat and Portworx. They give us the software and services we need to basically build the essential platform. That's what we call our engineering phase. The platform on its own, it's not an operating platform. In order to run that platform and operate it, we need a lot more services. And we take those internally from our private cloud partners. Monitoring, observability, etc., focused on the platform itself. So now we have a running operating platform and we can deploy a namespace. But that technically is an empty namespace that doesn't generate much business value. So we're now moving towards the top of the platform, and I hand it over to Sandeep.
Yeah, if you take notice on the top left corner, you'll see a list of partners that we work with. They provide other platforms within ING, such as monitoring, IAM control, IAM related tooling, templating. So we use them as our partners to make the namespace consumable that can generate value. And if you notice on the right top corner, you'll see our consuming teams, the consuming partners as well, because they are the ones who actually generate the business value that we intend to have, right? So, but they are also our partners, and they provide a pretty robust feedback to us so that we can continuously keep improving. That's how the platform seems to be evolving itself. That's what we have evolved. Yeah, but all that can't be done without strategy, right? So like in the movie, the outcome is achieved based on a strategy, and luckily we had one as well. And we did have strategy around how the platform would evolve and how does it meet our organization goals. So, and ING in that sense has a strategy about building platforms that can scale, providing growth, and also at a marginal cost. So ICHP actually fitted in that. What it did is that it allowed us to offer self-service capabilities with tooling around it and services around, and as well provide knowledge management around, and has good support channels to support our consumers. This is helping our consumers to adopt the cloud-native way of working. And all this, and with the compliance out of the box, makes this really a compelling product for our internal consumers. The platform team itself is basically operating as small streamline teams. And why do I speak of it is because we see this getting validated even in concepts like team topologies, where they also talk about similar things and how do we really optimize flow. And that's what we have been operating since the last 3 years, where the platform has really evolved itself.
So part 2, what's next? Today we are running that immutable platform, and that's our contribution to showing the IT industry it can be done. It is really hard to penetrate. We have done pen tests and the results are excellent. But we're not done. There's still additional work to be done. For instance, we can look at multi-cluster. We can improve on that. Clusters as cattle, we can improve on that. We can improve even on expanding the scope and even enabling more use cases to be hosted in the most secure manner. So that's where we are. And basically, in the last 20 minutes, I hope we have proven to you that it is achievable to complete this mission. It is achievable to build a secure infrastructure. So I would like all of you to enjoy this OpenShift Commons Day. Enjoy this Kubecon week. Be inspired. Make professional connections. Prepare for your own story. And I would like to extend an invite to all of you to meet ING in our hometown of Amsterdam for Kubecon Europe 2023 next spring. For those of you with the means to travel, we'll welcome you in person. For everybody who will join online, we'll gladly welcome you online. And that brings us to the end of this presentation, and we're open for questions.
Thank you.